the Patriots thought too.
Listen,
that Patriots squad is trash.
not trash.
You got
but
Mac Jones out there. Oh, Anton's walking across the table.
listen. All I know is you can't bring a squirt gun to a fucking gunfight. Mac Jones, squirt gun. Josh Allen, 50 cal.
Well,
can't do it.
Let me piggyback off what Evan just said. Then
Give me Lance Briggs.
No,
we're live, Bob. By the way, the teams we're evenly matched everywhere.
No.
Allen's
But
the
that's
X
what I'm
factor.
saying. That's what I'm saying. I said that the Bills win if it snows, because then it takes the arms away from both the quarterbacks. They have to run the ball. I think the Patriots would have won that game.
Well, I say it wouldn't have mattered. That's what I told you. I don't think the snow would have taken away that arm. That arm.
Well, if you look at the last time that the Patriots won, it was a big blizzard game.
It was 50-mile-an-hour winds though.
Yep,
That was like
that's the thing, though, is that
fucking here.
there was no snow. It was just dead ass cold for this playoff game, and Josh Allen just came out there and slung the rock.
I hope Todd can hear me every time. Every time he's on here, all we see is the kitchen. Like, where the hell are you going?
Lance Briggs.
And
Give me Lance
what's wrong with
Briggs.
this?
All right, so what were you saying, Adam? You thought if it would have snowed, you would like the Pats?
I think, yeah. I even had both my parlays. I had the Patriots because I figured it was going to be a snow game. I mean, there's a huge weather advisory, and then all of a sudden there's no snow. I thought it was wild. I mean, the only time that really ever happened was when the Seahawks and the Broncos played in that Super Bowl in New York, and it didn't fucking snow. Everybody was expecting a big blizzard game. I think had it been a blizzard, I think it would have leaned into the Patriots' favor. I think that the Bills are a better team. They're more equipped to move further in the playoffs. But in that game, that circumstance, I think the Patriots would have been able to dial up the numbers that they needed to do to basically win that game. Because then at that point, it's 5-yard fucking passes if it even gets thrown. But I mean, when you have the chance to let Josh Allen just come out there and sling the rock, there's nothing anybody can do. Once that pick over the top happened with Mac Jones, because Mac Jones put that shit on the fucking money. But that pick right in the beginning of the game when he jumped over and fucking picked it off, I was like, yo, it's about to get live quick in this motherfucker. Because the Bills fans were fucking ready to go. They were fired up. The writing was on the wall before that one even fucking started. But I really think that a snow game would have turned it wouldn't have been so lopsided.
All right, well, guess what? This is the Keepin a G-Real podcast. We've already been live for like 10 minutes. You already know what it is. In the description, we're doing NFL talk, Super Wildcard weekend. You know, you got to throw that super in the front of it. I'm here with my mainstays in the bottom left-hand corner. I got Tom. Top right, I have Chad. And Adam's been on a couple times. Adam's back. Gonna drop some nuggets on us. Darren's around here somewhere. Well, you know, he's on his way home. And then Kyle will be floating in and out of here because Kyle's kind of like my new executive for the podcast. He's going to like manage it and run it and do all that shit so he can try to get it popular because that's sort of his thing. But yeah, so I mean, we're just going to run through the games. I'm going to give everyone a chance to like say their opinions on the games and all that other stuff. And then we're going to start, since, you know, Adam and Darren are going to be in here, I want to start doing off-season like opinions, early off-season previews. We'll go like division by division each time. So because Adam and Darren are here, and I don't know when I would get them again, we'll do the NFC East. We'll like talk each team and say like what we think they need. Talk about some of them have coaching vacancies. Well, one of them does. Well, Giants have a coaching vacancy.
A lot of them.
Yeah. So I mean, the Cowboys are about to have a coaching vacancy, in my opinion. So. Yeah. So,
I was just saying.
Yeah, no. So we'll start with Cardinals and Rams from last night. Chad, what do you think about that game? You watch it?
I mean, Kyler Murray just threw the game away pretty much. He literally threw a pass to someone in the end zone that wasn't his player.
I only seen bits and pieces of it, so.
He was it was going to be a safety, and he kind of just did like a little like a toss. And then the defensive player caught it and landed in the end zone.
I saw the retarded one where he dropped back and spun around and was like, and took the ball, then he went like this. He like threw it over his head. Like he was throwing a fucking live grenade over a fucking barricade to save himself, and the dude picked it off. I see that. I was like, what the fuck? He couldn't handle the pressure of that game, dude. They got in his asshole. Adam?
I mean, the Rams they played well and they got Odell Beckham in the game. I mean, that took a lot. I think a lot of pressure was taken off
It's
by
not as good
by
in
the
the can,
by
but
the wide receiver on the other side. But I think Odell with a good 1A, Odell's a good 1B for them.
yeah, he showed up
Cooper
last
Kupp.
night. Cooper Kupp, I thought it was interesting. I mean, it looked like they were double teaming him a lot, but when you got that many weapons on the team, it's kind of like you almost want your best guy to get double teamed. I don't know. It was just
That's what I'm saying. That's how Odell was open all those times. He was always at one-on-one coverages, and you can't one-on-one Odell either.
Yeah, it's
Unless
not.
you have
It's not
yeah.
fun. It's not fun when he's playing at his best of his ability. You never know what you're going to get though. So I was happy that he played well last night because when he burnt Homeboy's back corner of the end zone, I was like. But what do you think, Adam?
I mean, I think, like you guys kept bringing up Odell, I think that he nestled in at the right time. Around the end of the season, he started getting a little bit warmer. I didn't think that he had to replace Robert Woods, and next year we're going to be able to see all three of those dudes on the field at the same time, which is
Van
going to be pretty
Jefferson.
cool. But that being said, Cam Akers comes back, puts Budda Baker out.
That was crazy.
That was a big hit. Hopefully, Budda Baker's okay because he's a big part of their defense. But I mean, a big part of these teams that were super squads earlier on or got banged up or whatever. I mean, you see Cam Akers return, but then you don't get D-Hop in the game for the Cardinals, which is a big situation for them. They struggled at the end of the season without DeAndre Hopkins for a lot. Even though J.J. Watt was able to come back, it's still not the same team. Offensively, they couldn't move the ball as well. Kyler Murray did not play well, but I think Odell getting in when he did and being able to settle in is the ultimate factor. Dudes like Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, all these dudes are going to be huge coming through the season. But when it comes time for the playoffs, you need, like Chad said, 1A, 1B. You need 1B to show up. They have to show up in the playoffs, and Odell is probably one of the best 1B players available. So once he's warm there after this offseason and everything, it's going to be really nice to see what happens. I wouldn't even be surprised to see if they drop Woods to the slot and leave Odell out there to play that number 2 role. It could happen the other way around. All of those players are interchangeable because they're not huge, big body guys, but they're quick, shifty. They can make some
You can
moves.
line them up all over the place.
But
I think when Woods was on the Bills, he was our slot receiver.
Say again.
When Woods was on the Bills, I believe he was our slot receiver. I think that's his natural position.
Yeah.
He's flexible. He can play on the boundary too a little bit, get down the field. I agree with something Tom said a while back though. It seems to be against specific coaches, really seasoned coaches that know what they're doing in terms of like scheming as specific offenses. That offense that what's his face uses there. I always forget his name. Kingsbury. Like the best coaches tend to figure that offense out. A lot of the stuff with like the cadences and stuff. A lot of the cadences in that offense and the way it's constructed, it's kind of easier than most offenses to pick up on like what they're exactly doing. They do a lot of that RPO stuff. A lot of times if you just stay disciplined, you can shut a lot of that shit down. And especially with them not having D-Hop there, that just shuts down a lot of what they can do because Kyler Murray could throw it all over the lot. But in an offense where you use a lot of RPO and like zone running stuff to set up the throw, it's like, none of his guys are guys that are getting down the field. Rondale Moore can do it a little bit, but he's not D-Hop. D-Hop, he just opens up so many options for you in that offense.
You saw that wasn't a huge weapon as I thought might have happened last night with Rondale Moore. Plus, it also helps to have Aaron Donald blowing up shit all the time. So
defense across the board, they've got superstars on every level. You got Aaron Donald on the line. Obviously, he's one of my favorite players in the league. But Von Miller is running around, and then you got Jalen Ramsey running around.
I would
them
say
being
their
shifty.
only weakness is their linebacker core. But when the front's that good, all they got to do is fucking tackle dudes.
Yeah.
What really hurt him too, they couldn't even get Edmonds going. Edmonds wasn't going, and then he wasn't doing the easy throws to Ertz over the middle. They were available there. He was trying to get a little bit more down the.
Yeah, I definitely think they attacked the outside too much without the proper personnel Like you said, they should have attacked the middle of the
Like
field.
trying to free loves you over there.
Oh, yo, is that
Ertz was
crystal?
open a lot.
Is that crystal?
It's like Steven with the camera.
Is that crystal right there, Todd?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yo, just flip that shit upside down and just be like this. Yeah, buddy, that's what I'm talking about. I got all kinds of hot sauce in the house right now. I got a conglomerate.
Love that Crystal.
Yeah, so like I picked them in my parlay, the Rams to cover, and they did. 2 teams. You know what I'm annoyed with? I did my parlay on DraftKings, and I had the one for FanDuel, and I had the one for DraftKings, and I matched them both up. I accidentally hit on the DraftKings one because it's a little bit different. The Patriots to cover instead of the Bills. So immediately I looked, I'm like, yeah, I got 2 in a row. I look down, and it's blown up because I hit the wrong fucking button. I'm like, it didn't matter because Eagles almost covered. I picked the Eagles to cover. They missed covering by a couple points. I was like, God, you can never pick against a spread that's like well over 10. That spread was like 14 points in some places. It was 12.5 on mine. They still almost covered it, but yeah, I like the Rams.
I think that could be the
we said that at the beginning of the year.
You want to jump into that for that to be the next game? Because I'd love to talk about that.
What game?
That Tampa game with Philly.
Oh, well, I got to see where I'm at. Hold on.
Go ahead. You're fine.
I'm going from the bottom up, so next game is Chiefs and Steelers. I mean, we don't have to say much. Just like how when we said last week there wasn't much to say about that game, there still isn't much to say really about that game. I'm surprised the Steelers scored 20 points.
The only shocking part about it is the Chiefs didn't score for like a quarter and a half.
Well, they scored 5 touchdowns. Mahomes scored 5 touchdowns in 12 minutes.
Well, I know, but that first quarter and a half, if there was any pulse on the Steelers' offense, the Mahomes had a lot more pressure to score, and I think it would have been a different game, but they still would have lost. I think it would have been a lot closer, though.
That's one of those teams, too, though. That's one of those teams. The Chiefs are one of those teams where it's all about their own throttle. You could have a Hall of Fame defense against them, and it's all about their throttle because realistically, the Steelers appear to be a horrendous football team across the board. They didn't deserve to be in the playoffs, all that extra stuff. But it's not because of their defense. It's because of their offense, right? And a lot of those teams are getting exposed and all this stuff. But, I mean, Minkah Fitzpatrick's one of the best safeties in the league. You've got Devin Bush. You've got pieces, especially T.J. Watt. There's definitely pieces there to build around for that defense. But when your offense can't produce, it basically is like having, you got 22 starters and the other team has 11. And the only 11 starters are on the fucking defense. For the Steelers, keeping Ben Roethlisberger even out there for the rest of this, and week 8, I would have at least given Haskins some playing time. But, I mean, you can't do Ben Roethlisberger dirty like that. He was a franchise quarterback for a long time. But it's definitely time for the Steelers to move on from that. So, seeing that happen, he played his final playoff game. Cool, whatever. At the end of the day, though, they need to fix that offense. Like,
they need offensive linemen.
The offensive line, offensive line is not good. They went into the season not being very good. Pedestrian defenses can wreak havoc. The fact that they actually got in, and to be surprised, the Ravens through injury was basically their only hurdle. The Ravens should have been in. This team should not have been in. And you saw the reason why they just snuck in. Defense, not a lot of offense, and they did just enough to slide in. But, I mean, they have a lot to fix on the offense. It is true the offense is not that good. The offensive line was terrible as a grade going into the season and played right up to the same level. One of the worst. Them and the Dolphins were pretty bad.
Yeah, the worst were them, the Dolphins, mine, which is what's weird about mine is like mine on paper is still one of the worst offensive lines, but somehow we pass blocked just enough, and Joe Burrow is just special enough for him to just
remember
knife
Joe
everybody
Burrow.
up.
Joe Burrow said in the one press conference, he was like, "You know what? I just see Chase and I just lay it out there, let that dude go after it.
Well,
And I think
he also just fucking is back there like making a million dudes miss a game. That shit's fucking insane. And my asshole's puckered up the whole time. Cause I'm like, dude, like the fucking get yourself hurt. He's back there. That play, I don't remember what game it was. It might have been 2 games ago, where the nose tackle gets him and he just goes to the nose tackle and throws him. Like, yo, Joe Burrow weighs about as much as a Q-tip does. He just throws a D tackle aside. He starts running and hucks a touchdown. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, we move into the Bengals Raiders right now.
No, we're just talking about how
just on the offensive line.
Burrow's been able to transcend how bad the offensive line is. Like ours is bad.
I think your offensive line. I think you guys gained momentum, right? An offensive line plays as a group, and once they started with momentum, that Bengals team just started thriving off that. After that big win over the Chiefs, you guys rode into the playoffs on a high. That was a big note for you guys to not only have him throw as well as he did, and put up, you put up 525 or something like that.
Something.
Or 425 or something like that.
He did 500 something, then 400 something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he throws for 400 plus, but then they win the game. It was a big game to win versus the Chiefs, especially in the AFC. It's a big statement win. I think that the line definitely gained some momentum. But
we were just talking about offensive lines. We don't gotta get too far into the Bengals shit yet, but yeah, there's not much to take. I mean, it was expected the Chiefs over them. That's why I put that $5 bet, Chad, to get $240 or $280 worth of bets back as long as your team won. Of course, everyone threw it down on the Chiefs to beat the Steelers.
I ended up losing money because I bet Burrow would throw the first touchdown. But I think I clicked on it, and it was like if he was to run the first touchdown.
Chad had a crazy player prop bet going on. He got close. Like, he does these bets where he's like, he'll pick a team.
Oh, the player prop bets, you win a lot of money. You don't have to bet.
Yeah, they're insane.
Nice.
Like, he's like, he had like TJ Usama to catch a touchdown. Immediately he catches a touchdown. I was like, what the fuck? What up, Cud? Oh, hey, Cud, you're just in time.
Seems like you're just in time.
We're about to talk Eagles-Bucks. Buccaneers beat the Eagles 31-15. Chad, thoughts on the Eagles and Bucks game?
I thought it would be a lot closer than it was when it was.
I thought so too.
I think that's interesting.
I picked them to cover because the Bucks have a lot of injuries. The way the teams match up, I thought the Bucks would win, but I picked the Eagles to cover, at least cover. I thought they almost did cover. It was a 12-point spread. They lost by like 15, 16.
It was like 16 points that they lost by. But I think what was interesting about the Eagles-Buccaneers game is kind of a tell for the Bucks, right? So just before the game, they post an article. Philly has their franchise quarterback. They made that statement like hour or two prior to the game while I was at the bar. But when you watch the game and everything, the Bucks really didn't dominate that game. They controlled very well, but they didn't dominate that game. And it didn't feel right. If you paid attention to it, they were in control the entire time. 110%.
Scored all their points in the first 3 quarters, and then in garbage time, the Eagles scored their points.
But also,
so
the Buccaneers took a long time to score. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't the Tom Brady show. They didn't come out and drop 14, big 40-yard plus plays. It wasn't like that. They took their time scoring. It felt slow. It felt like they were like, hey, we're going to win this game. Everybody do your job. You go out there, you do your thing, and everything's going to be fine. It didn't appear to be as big of a gap as what I thought that the gap should have been. But the scoreline was about right. I think that that's where those two teams are. But how it panned out was different. If you watch it, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like the Buccaneers come out and it was just the Eagles just could not do anything. They had to work to get their touchdowns. And I think that that's telling of how the Buccaneers were going to fare in the playoffs. But, I mean, like you said, they're banged up in different places. For Fournette usually isn't really a deciding factor, but he has been running hard
He's
this
played
year.
well this
So
year.
for him to be out, you got Godwin out. There are pieces missing, but the Eagles D-line played very well against them.
Yeah, they
So
ran Keyshawn Vaughn and Giovanni Bernard. Both of them had touchdowns, but Tom still threw for almost 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. 150 quarterback rating.
and I mean that's the thing. Like he didn't even it wasn't an ass whooping, but it also
I think they knew they could do
They
that.
weren't.
I think they knew they could do
Yeah.
that and not like, you know. That's why I said
I
those
would say
15
that
points at the
it was
end were just
full performance for the matchup that the Eagles drew. It was respectable for them, given the final score.
Well,
I think the final score, no, I don't know. They scored those points at the very end of the game, and the Bucks, I don't think they were like trying in the fourth quarter. The score plot flips.
I think Jalen Hurts wasn't ready for the pressure
what are
of the game and everything.
I didn't think
I
he
don't know.
played all that bad, but like that front seven's gnarly. They have an underrated defensive backs. He threw 2 picks, you know. Sometimes those 2 interceptions can flip a game. You know, like what if he wouldn't have thrown those 2 interceptions early and they could have scored? It would have been closer.
I still feel like the Eagles haven't found their receivers yet, though. Devontae Smith's great. They got their Heisman player. That's fantastic. But I was telling Darren that today. I don't think that he is the solution yet to their problems. I think that he would have been way more productive had he gone to a team that already had a number one. Like if he was to replace a Jerry Jeudy, I think it would have been a completely different setup if he was over there. And I think he would have been more available. Because in reality, Philly only has Devontae Smith.
Yeah,
From
they
there,
messed up
Rager
taking Jalen Rager.
You know, and
All
we
the wide
thought Rager
receivers
was
in that draft.
Well, I mean, we looked at it though, and we didn't think Rager was going to be terrible.
Well, the reason
But we
why
also didn't
was
think he
because
could land in Philly and just be nothing.
the thing I liked about Jalen Rager, which is hard to do, was when I watched his tape, and I have the book somewhere where I scouted Jalen Rager, and I said that he did all the things that in college you wanted a small guy to be able to do, but then he also had the number 1 rate for converting on contested catches when he's only like 5'10" or whatever he is, and he's not big. And he did that. He also did that against some good teams and played a handful of good corners. And so I'm, seeing what I knew he could do in the limited time he played too, like he had injuries and still had really good statistics against some really good teams. And that contested catch thing put me over the top on him. I didn't like him better than all those guys, but I'm like, he's definitely a back end of the first round. Now, Justin Jefferson was my 3rd best wide receiver that year behind Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb. How you could take Rager when I had Rager as my 6th wide receiver. I had him as my 6th or 7th wide receiver, Jalen Rager. You could have taken so many other dudes that have panned out to be good or great. And they took Jalen Rager. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they wanted speed. They wanted speed. And the thing, because, I mean, D-Jax has been their guy for so long. They move away from him. And that's always been Philly's identity is speed. Jalen Rager, to me, was drawing comparisons to Brandon Cooks. I thought that was the exact player that they were going to be getting. Not quite the explosiveness of Cooks, but that matchup type. You could throw him at the slot. You could run some reverse plays with it. You can do a lot with him. He's going to be versatile, but he's not a true number 1. Yeah. And Cooks panned out to be a number 1 player. He plays at a high level.
It's ironic. I had Jalen Rager as my comp, similar to a dude that played this weekend, and I actually had him as my comp, and I couldn't believe that he played this weekend because I thought he retired. Jalen Rager's comp in my notebook was Travis Benjamin. And I couldn't believe he was playing. Who the fuck did he play? Yeah, who did he play for this weekend, though? 49ers. He played for the 49ers this weekend.
Yeah, he caught
a couple passes.
I mean, he was the return guy.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like Devontae Smith. I actually really like Devontae Smith. The reason why I like Devontae Smith so much was he had everything he could possibly do, right? He was amazing at in college. Played all the best competition. Amazing route runner. Faster than people thought. Catches everything. Intelligent player. The thing that really put him over the top for me, where I was like, I like this guy, was everyone freaked out over him only being like 180 pounds or 175 pounds or whatever he is, or he might be lighter than that. But did you know the year he came out, he, against all the best corners in college football, he played like 7 really good ones. He was the number 1 in breaking press, in overall break and press rate. So I wasn't worried about him being slight. There's more to breaking the press than just being like extremely strong and physical. Chad Johnson was an extremely strong and physical, and he shook dudes at the line of scrimmage. So
same draft though. You guys ended up taking Jamar Chase.
Well,
Jamar Chase is a bigger body.
Yeah,
he
plays.
He plays with big dudes.
That's a different animal.
So, you know what I mean? And that's the thing that was like, even though, DeVonta Smith wins the Heisman, I felt like it shouldn't have possibly been him for what you're going to get in the NFL comparison. But Heisman's based on production, whatever.
But
I get
like
it.
Him. I do like
him. I don't think it's the wrong pick. I just don't think that they've shored that up yet. I didn't feel like Philly had enough weapons going in and compete in that game. And all you got to do is shut Devontae Smith down. Now you're at the mercy of Fulgham and Rager and whoever the fuck else they got over there. That's not going to be enough.
You don't like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside?
I don't even talk about it.
Tom, do you have anything you want to say about the Eagles before we skip to the next team?
So, well, 2 things I wanted to talk about.
Where's Darrin?
Maybe he came home. He had something to eat,
Yeah,
so he might jump on. So this extra playoff team and this extra playoff game. So both games ended up both games ended up kind of okay. So the lower seeded team in these games has not won in the 2 years that they've run this out. So are they just putting extra teams in, number one, just to get an extra game in? And yeah, for cash. I mean, but again, like the Chiefs Pittsburgh game ends up being a blowout. This game wasn't a total blowout, but it was kind of controlled right from the beginning of the game. As far as this game in general, maybe Hurts is just average. You know what I mean? Like, he made some plays.
He's overachieved, though.
There was a play.
I admit.
That was going to be my question before we moved on. Is he the next guy?
I admit that I would say my analysis on him and everything that I thought about him was 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
But he has overachieved in terms of the coach found the right way to use him, and he took it and ran with it. And you can't. He brings a lot of shit to the table.
They're a playoff team.
They're a playoff team.
They're a playoff team.
He was accurate enough. Here's the thing. He was accurate enough in the middle and in the intermediate areas and the short areas of the field to where when you're that dynamic at running and you get that system, the fact that he himself is a weapon running and that he's that accurate short makes it so you can run an offense like that and you can beat up on teams. The problem is, if the defense isn't overtly exceptional, you're gonna have to play good enough defense to win low scoring games. And if you get into a tight spot with a guy like that, I love the player. I love that player. He's awesome. He's not an explosive arm talent. He's not throwing the seam routes down the middle of the field.
So we're talking,
he's not throwing into triple coverage. He doesn't have the juice to where when you can't run the ball on a team or both teams are in a stalemate and the game's close, there comes points and times in every single football game, unless you have a crazy lead, right? At some point, you got to make crazy throws. At some point, you have to. You got to make throws. You got to make plays. You got to be a playmaker. He has playmaker ability, but he lacks. He lacks the ability to throw it down to consistently and accurately huck it down the field. So, like for me, like Adam said, is he the future? No.
The question really that I'm asking is that, okay, we're chopping him up in a playoff game, which probably isn't fair to him because he got this team to the playoffs with his ability, and yes, with Sirianni using him, like you said, in a proper way. The only question I'm saying about him moving forward, and I'm just asking a general question, is he like good enough to be a starter but high level backup? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like kind of
He's good enough to be a
Fitzpatrick
starter.
mold, like can
saying
make
that
the
game,
play.
He's good
can
enough
do
to be a
enough,
starter.
yeah.
Right, but like
So
it has to be a situation like the way
right.
the 49ers went to the Super Bowl a couple times. Everything else
Is this
has
the
to
future
be
though?
fantastic, and then he's got to play exceptional too. It's like when
It's,
but no, he's not the future because
to
you're going to
me,
run into teams. You're going to run into teams like 44-year-old Tom Brady in an immaculate team, and Tom's going to score 30 on you. Like that Eagles team, Tom's going to score 30 on you every time. So unless you can't match him and score that much, he's not the future. They might roll with him. They might roll with him, but they'll peter out. This will be their ceiling.
I don't think they're 100%
Ben?
behind him, but I think they do like him and what he brings. I just never got the feeling that when they really rolled him out as a starter, that this team was really 100% behind him. I never thought that. But he can obviously do enough and not create enough turnovers. But you saw against good teams, he could be broken down.
Yeah, if you ask him to consistently throw explosive plays,
I think that's what you get with what you get with a decent quarterback, but not exceptional quarterback. You get someone that can make plays, but is not gonna arm talent's not gonna blow you away, and you can be controlled by good defenses and kind of
when all they got to do is focus on keeping everything in front of them and stacking more dudes in the box. You're at a disadvantage. It chops off like 40% of your repertoire in a playbook if you can't throw the ball down the field.
This is where it all kind of comes boiling in. Number one, this was the first year that they've allowed the extra playoff. This was the first year that was official. Last year that the year that has actually happened. To that point, I'm not taking any stabs at anybody when I say this. It just so happens that the two examples I'm going to use happens to be some teams of players that are people that are talking. The Jags beat the Bills this year. So if we're going to call and know that any given Sunday is possible, you've got to keep those teams in there because what if somebody does get missed?
But every good team got beat by a bad team this year at some point.
Exactly, but that's also all the more reason why you need to have an extra playoff team, just in case for shits and giggles you can knock somebody out. So we move on from the extra playoff game. They announced, like I had said, an hour before the game that they believe that basically Jalen Hurts is the guy. I did not see a lot of him today. Evan knows I was very high on him in the draft. However, right, I did see both times that he played the Giants. First time, we picked him off 3 times and he couldn't do anything. The second time, he put us in the fucking rearview mirror. So I think if we allow him some time, because if we're being realistic, he only played 2 games last year. And he actually played well in those games, even though that shitty Eagles team lost. And now he's back with this team again. They only pick up 1 wide receiver. They have all the draft capital in the world. Maybe we give this dude a couple of years and let's see what happens. Because in reality, he fits the mold of the Philadelphia Eagles.
I agree.
Now,
because I tell you what, he might not be the most talented guy.
Anybody.
I agree.
I'm not attacking anybody here.
But he is.
I'm just being honest, right? We moved to Kirk Cousins. Just because it's a quarterback in this position who's had way too much time in his time, but he comes out and barely throws any interceptions this year, actually has a good year.
He's had a handful of really good years, but...
Would you say, though, that this year secures his position with that football team? Or do you guys still think that you could be a spot quarterback?
He's under contract, so when you couple that he's been playing good the past probably 2 or 3 years, yeah, it's they're going to keep him because they got to play his contract out. Plus, drafting quarterbacks right now, this year's crop, there's a couple guys that I think could have some upside, but like it's not like the last handful of So no, I agree with Adam though.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts has played better than I thought. I would roll with him because I don't like the next crop of quarterbacks as much.
This is where I push
Hurts has
back.
got some talent, and
if you don't add the extra team, he's just a quarterback that didn't make the playoffs. You added the extra team, they just got in.
About.
Not saying anything, but again, we're giving him a little bit of added points because he made the playoffs. But in previous years, you wouldn't make the playoffs with this record.
Let me just say, I am not a part of the group of people that add value to teams that make the playoffs. If you don't win in the playoffs, you're one and done. I don't want to hear about it. And that's why I sit with Dallas just as much as I sit with any quarterback that goes. I don't think that making the playoffs is a big deal. I think if you win a playoff game, now you can start talking shit. Now you can be like, okay, we belong here. Now, Philly squeezing on by, especially with how tight the schedule was this year, was literally by chance. There are tons of other teams on both sides that could have easily gone in and probably would have been a better matchup for the Buccaneers. Right? The fact that the Chargers didn't make it is kind of wild. Right? The Chargers are a good football team. I value the Chargers, and I think that they have a lot more to offer than the Eagles do when it comes to the playoffs. Same with the Steelers. However, it's one of those situations where that stuff is going to happen. I don't think it's enough to frustrate or anything like that. I just think that with the first year, especially with how lopsided the schedules were this year, especially with the amount of injuries this year, there were 3 teams with over 300 injuries. That's 900 injuries for only 3 teams. It's too much.
How was there 300? Oh, you're being sarcastic. Sorry.
No, I'm not being sarcastic. The Giants were one of 3 teams to have over
300 injuries. Is there enough dudes to have 300 injuries?
There is, because you have weeks of football, so dudes can continue to be re-injured, and that goes back to their account.
Pussies.
So think about that. Over the course of a season, in reality, yeah, there's anomalies to where those teams could squeak by, but there's also a good chance that a good team could end up filling in and being underseeded. Me personally, I would have liked to have seen the Bengals-Patriots play because that was the projected matchup week 16, week 17. But as the playoffs moved on, Patriots ended up playing the Raiders, which, we'll talk about that later. But, I mean, in reality, those teams with the playoff seeding will shift so much at the end, and teams are going to play harder.
Listen, dude, Patriots are trash. Bills are trash. Titans are going to get it this weekend. Y'all can get it too. Chad, I'll see you in the AFC Championship.
But so this is what I'm going to ask.
Just messing with it.
Do you think? Okay, so we know that they're not going to give Jalen Hurts a chance. There's just not enough time.
I think they're gonna.
None of these teams have enough time.
The only way you don't. There he is. What up, baby?
What's going on?
The only way they don't is if you like one of these quarterbacks. But personally, it's hard. So I've been watching my film, been making my draft guide. There's 2 guys that I'm starting to really like their game tape, but at this point, Jalen Hurts is overachieved. He's playing well. That doesn't mean he can't still develop. If you can develop,
that's what I'm
he's
saying,
on a cheap contract.
An hour before the playoff game, they announced that he is the franchise quarterback.
Well,
that was a statement that was released from the Philadelphia organization.
That don't mean shit, though.
Yeah, that means nothing. That means nothing.
Dude, it would be really, really shitty for them to sit there and go, yeah, this is our franchise guy.
Business is shitty.
The franchise quarterback, they bring in Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
that
business
shit all
is
went
shitty.
away. No one, they
what up, Keith?
they didn't make up that shit already.
Jalen Hurts isn't the Brock Osweiler
Well,
either.
it's funny. It's funny the timing, And you know what? I'm gonna let Chad and Anton and I say what we have to say first before I let you two fucking start arguing, okay? The money's already been set, all right? That Venmo transaction happened.
Know what's up.
All right, so we're at we just so happen to be at Cowboys and the Niners. So Chad, what do you think about that game?
I mean, I think the perfect assessment from I think I heard someone, I forgot what show had it, but they're like, it was like the Cowboys and Niners were just giving the game to each other, and they just kept playing They were just tossing the game back to each other, like, "No, you win it. No, you win it. No, you win it." And it's just like they just.
It was an odd game.
They both didn't play that well. They you know what I mean? They both didn't play that great. It's just the Niners made less mistakes.
This is true. That's how I see the game. I mean, either of them could have been on either end of that.
Dak did not play well. Dak did not play well at all. I don't think he did. And for some reason,
neither did Garoppolo.
I know. And then the running game for the Cowboys wasn't the greatest. I don't know how or why it wasn't. I don't know what it was. They just weren't playing great.
You got to remember too. You got to remember when this is one of the only systems that's predicated around pounding the ball that I truly like. Is this Kyle Shanahan system? The way they do things over there, a lot of their motion. They run that shit legit. They're always sending dudes in motion. You never know who's gonna get the ball. Kyler Murray's always out there just like Kyler Murray's over there just like smacking and clapping his hands and shit. No one goes in motion.
Yikes.
What does that have to do with anything? You should be waving that thing around, man.
Oh, I'm waving it. I'll
like
get my fan. You guys go through and say what you got to say.
Listen, we're talking about this game. I don't want to hear no comparisons to the Giants. We're talking about this football game. I won't say the Giants at all. Because you know this dude's about to be like, if the Giants were in there, Eli would come out of reretirement and he'd run everyone over.
Eli would be better.
They don't belong.
Here's a question.
Okay, hold on.
Wait. You guys do your piece, and then I'll say my piece.
Anton, what do you got to say?
Okay, so this is my take on the game. This is my take on the game. I actually think these teams actually played to who they really are. Garoppolo makes plays. Shanahan calls a good game plan. Garoppolo will create turnovers.
He will get rid of the pill.
Give the ball up. He'll do something, whatever. Dallas always get into these big games, and they underachieve.
Yeah.
You think they're going to roll out with the offense, the defense with Diggs, and they're going to make – no, they end up being average as fuck. We always do this with Dallas.
And it's not that it's not as a team that they're not.
They always hype them up too much, and they play just average. They play to the level of the team that they play. They allow themselves to be taken over. In the game, they like, oh, we're gonna give it up to Dak, and then all of a sudden, it's like they're making goofy plays. All of a sudden, bad, they think it's bad play calling. They make a lot of mistakes. There was a lot of penalty calls in this game.
That's what
these teams play exactly the way they always play. They come in, they hype them up too much, and then, like I said, Garoppolo will make plays to give the ball up to the other team. Dallas will do the same thing. They play exactly how they always come out to play. They're both of these teams are always overhyped, and really, nothing against Shanahan, nothing against his play calling, nothing against getting the playmakers involved. But then also you allow Garoppolo has the ball too much, so he's bound to give up the ball. They do the same thing. They want to run the ball, they want to do this, and all of a sudden they become pass game, and they give up plays, and they don't play consistent. They don't play penalty-free football. And you know what? The game actually played out the way it was supposed to. It's going to be last minute. One team was going to give up the ball. Someone's going to get back, and then someone's going to goof it up and make plays. I think this game actually played the way that it should be played. But we always talk about how great these teams are, and they're really good teams that have some flaws, and they come into every game with flaws, and they play out that way. I think we're the ones that are fooled by always hyping up these teams. The game played the way it should play. A lot of penalties, mistakes, misplays, and bad play calling on both sides of the ball. These teams are we really should be honest with ourselves. These teams played the way they normally play.
And it would have showed either way, no matter who won next week when they play the Packers anyway. So,
yeah.
Whatever. Because the Packers are going to steamroll this team.
We ready?
Well, I guess you're going first then. Should I flip a coin?
You want me to? Oh, he's not even on.
Go, he's there.
All right, so first of all, let's snuff out Evans coming. The Niners had the Packers dead to rights earlier this season. They lined back up
to
prevent defense.
It's not playoffs.
But That's still a quality football game, and they were both solid teams when they played. And I'm pretty sure they were both undefeated when they played. Might have been like week 3. Either way, top-tier teams playing against each other, at least playoff teams playing against each other. The Niners had the Packers dead to rights. They run a prevent defense. The ball gets an inch over Fred Warner's hands. They find Devontae Adams. They kick a game-winning field goal to beat the Niners. That will be one of the better playoff games that we see. I do agree with that. Another thing, too. Nobody addressed the way that the Dallas game ended. Okay? The 14 fucking yard scramble, whatever. Then the refs 35 yards off the ball. It was wild. I do think that Dallas should have had a chance to run another play. That being said, it all comes down to the E word, exposed. Trayvon Diggs was exposed for what we all know what he does. He likes to jump routes. I think that Garoppolo played the game that he should have played, just like Anton said. However,
the
one miscue, yes, he didn't come in for 300 yards and blow everybody away, but he also didn't fuck it away. However, he gave Dallas the final opportunity when IU cooked Trayvon Diggs for the second time and did not get that touchdown pass. With that being said, that allowed Dallas into the game. Now,
come on, the run play where you didn't let Williams get
Super Bowl.
That's garbage. Again, this is Garoppolo. Listen, he didn't allow his offensive lineman to get set.
Yeah,
they run that play.
No. That was the same thing that happened. That was the same thing that happened.
It's game over there. This is how what Garoppolo does. He either throws the ball away to the other team, or listen, Dallas would have never had a chance if he would have let Williams get set.
True.
The ball, they run forward.
We're not talking about all the penalties too that Dallas had too. By the way, that game would have been way closer early.
It was the same exact thing that Dak did. Dak did the same thing with CeeDee Lamb not fucking a quarter before it. So that's whatever. But my true analysis, and I will say this. I have what Evan is not going to believe, which is ironic. I have a tremendous respect for the Dallas football team because of what they have. They underachieve. And I know that they underachieve. I put my own money on Dallas to beat the Bucs week 1 because the Dallas Cowboys have the talent, but they always underachieve. That's the problem. Usually it's in the playoffs. In the regular season, Dallas will rickroll a good team every once in a while, whatever. This year, they did not beat a solid football team. The best team that they beat was the Chargers, and they barely scraped by in that game. Every other game that they played, they swept the NFC East of second-string quarterbacks. Good for them. Like, literally good for them. Dallas had no business to be in the playoffs. They were exposed. But I will say this.
I don't think they have any business being there. But
I always say Dak Prescott and Zeke fell into a great situation. I do think, truly to the core of my body, that offensive line is not what it used to be. And the 49ers had their way with that offensive line. That was the deciding factor of the game. Because
your boy Nick Bosa.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Bosa turned out. But, I mean, Nick Bosa and Fred Warner didn't even play in the fourth quarter.
I know you don't like Nick
I watched
Bosa,
that game like a fucking hawk. And I'll tell you what, dude. As much as the 49ers, because they're a team that's going to stifle you on defense, but barely be able to keep up with O. That's who they are. But they're scrappy. And that's what you got to like about the Niners. They are a scrappy football team. They will cause fits for the Packers. That is 110% going to happen. If the Niners and the Packers play the Bucs, it's not going to be that way because the Bucs have strikeability. They can hit you from anywhere, and all Tom Brady needs is Gronkowski. If that man's on the field, they are still very much alive, right? We've seen that time and time again. However, against the Cowboys, we all know that the Cowboys are an inconsistent football team. If anything that you could say about Dallas this year, they're inconsistent. They blew their wad against the Eagles when they had Minshew out there. That's cool. Nobody cares. But you should have been able to see it coming from a mile away that Dallas wasn't going to be able to do shit against the 49ers. And sure as shit, that's exactly what happened.
Well, I mean, they still almost won with all those penalties.
They still did almost win with all those penalties. And there was a lot of stuff that went into the favor of the Niners at the end of the game. However,
By the
Dallas
way,
was very much the favorite.
You said
They were
that
the favorite to win that game.
By the way, you said you thought Dak should have had a chance at the end to throw another play. I don't agree with that.
I think that he should have.
Because if the team was disciplined, they would have been up on the ball and they would have known the rule.
110%.
They would have known the rule that the umpire has to touch that ball. They would have known. And I remember who I was listening to was like,
I will say this
toss the ball away.
You got to toss it to the ref and let him place it.
Yeah, you got to toss it to the ref.
The ref was very far away.
Still, the fact that they were all in position like that to have that happen, it's just undisciplined football.
Well,
on top of wasn't the play or two before the running back tried to get more yardage and then didn't get out of bounds, so you're costing time anyway.
But what I'm saying is,
at the end of the day, though,
what I'm saying is, if you
Dallas was the favorite to win the game, they should not have been in that position.
Well, there's favorites that get in those positions all the time. What are you talking about?
No, not in that position. To that team,
it happens.
Well, I mean, it does happen, and clearly it did. But Dallas
Shanahan
underachieving the play.
Shanahan is a great offensive play caller. He was going to try to get mismatches against.
He was 2 steps ahead
against
of
Parsons.
He had the mismatch before the game started. Deebo and Ayuk are way better than Trayvon Diggs has seen all year long.
Ayuk's okay.
Ayuk's solid. He's a solid
player. But he was going to try to get matchups. He was going to try to be diverse. It was about Dallas being disciplined. But again, both of these teams took a lot of penalties. Penalties were all over this game. But this game was still close. So these two teams were and I think we kind of said it, that this was going to be the closer game and the better matchup of all these playoff games. So,
Keegan,
yeah.
You have the floor, my good man. Good to see your face with that fucking beard flow going.
Just before he says anything, it's gonna be the area code of Dallas is why the reason that happened. It's gonna be.
You didn't even give it a chance.
Yeah, I mean, you come up with your own stuff, okay? Your own crazy shit. Let him talk.
Give him a chance to talk.
So,
are you afraid to get blown away? What's going on?
No, I mean, look at he picked right, but like, let him have his floor.
So, but for the record, I never picked a team. I never.
Well, no, see, but this is the stuff I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. So my thing is this. This is the part where he gets off into the weeds, right? Like, I get it. Yes, Dallas has been very inconsistent, and they have not been winning playoff games when they should get there and win them. But like, he acts like it's this philosophical referendum, like that they're just destined to be like that because it's the Cowboys. That's the part where he gets off in the weeds. It's a perfectly plausible
argument to realize that Dallas didn't play anybody all year. They didn't win a fucking game.
Okay, that's fine. But my thing is this: like, I guarantee you, next year you'll probably say something similar. If the Cowboys could go undefeated against all the best teams, you'll be like, it's the Cowboys. So it doesn't matter if they play the children of the blind; they'll go out second round. Mark my words. I'll bet half my checking account. It's like, relax.
I mean, I won this year, so I can sit pretty. That's fine. But
that's the one thing you got to hang your hat on is betting against someone else's team. The state of football for you. You got to dedicate your whole season to just shitting on the Cowboys.
There's been tons of stuff that I've been wrong about. Even for the NFC East. I didn't think that the Philadelphia Eagles were going to amount to anything this year. They overachieved. They played fantastic. You guys thought the Falcons were going to be one of the worst rosters in the league.
Well, they still are one of the worst rosters in the league. I don't know how the fuck they won 7 games.
And I will say that they're a bad team, but they definitely overachieved.
Yeah.
Overachieved even what's on that roster.
Dude, to me, this season is a throw-it-out season. I don't give a fuck if my team wins a fucking Super Bowl. It's a throw-it-out fucking season because this season has been absolutely retarded. I'm excited to talk about
the Bengals Raiders, just so you're aware. But let's give Keegan the floor and hear about all the different people that it could possibly be
Are we going to talk about the 4 different teams that won football games because they're good at passing? Are we going to talk about that? No?
I mean, I guess.
Okay, so anyways, sure. Keegan, go.
So the Cowboys lost because of penalties, and I'd say Dak Prescott. They go out and give him this huge contract. I think it's like $40 million this year, and then another 35 and like bonuses or whatever. It comes out to like $75 million for just this year of football.
Pay the
and
man.
he goes out and
He's
he just
smiling,
didn't
but you got to
perform.
pay the quarterbacks.
You do, but and for what Dak could do with this team, I think you paid him an all right amount.
He underachieved.
But this year, yeah, it just wasn't good. There was too many games and too many examples of the Cowboys just not scoring. They're like, you have one of the top 3, I'd say, receiver core, top 5 receiver core. You've got a top 5 running back. You've got a top 10 quarterback.
I'd say it's top 3. Whoa.
I have a question.
What's up?
Yes.
I have 2 questions, actually. I'm just going to put these out there. This year, Dallas was slated by many Dallas announcers, Michael Irvin, Deion Sanders, all that stuff, that Dallas was going to have 3,000-yard receivers. I'm just going to leave that there. But I'm also going to say that.
Play the whole season.
I'm just going to say this. Do you think that remember when we went and watched the playoffs when the Rams rolled the Cowboys in the second round, right? Do you think that this team was better than that team?
No. Defense was better, I think.
But when you watched,
defense is better.
When you watched all year long, that's what I felt. I felt like that Cowboys team was better and they couldn't get it done. So what made this team any better? Yes, the defense in ways were better, but still, technically, even with his turnovers, you guys haven't fixed your secondary. You guys just haven't fixed them. And I mean, like in the playoffs, he was exposed, and who the fuck else is on that fucking Cowboys secondary? There's not enough people there. I think Dallas has a true shot. They are in their window. And that speaks volumes for where I think Dallas is. But they're not fixing their problems. And if they don't fix their problems, their window will go by. Little by little, you will see, Micah Parsons will still be there. But at the end of the day, Zeke will leave. The line will fall apart. And then all of a sudden, Dak's going to be exposed for the quarterback that he is. Fantastic player. But, I mean, I said it to Darrin like this today, right? Tom Brady doesn't throw the ball 60 times a game. That's all you need to know about Dallas. Dak Prescott has multiple games where he's throwing the ball 60 times a game. That's not managing a football game. That's trying to score.
Tom does throw it that much,
but if he can help it, Tom Brady doesn't. He checks it out, and he runs it, and he chews clock. Tom Brady is one of the best managers of a football game.
Right, but
which we'll get into with the Bengals Raiders game. However,
that team's offense is as good as it is because Tom is who he is. Because they can't throw the ball. They ain't that good at running the football.
I thought that in the playoffs, Dallas' offense.
I'm talking about the Bucs. The Bucs aren't that good at running the football. They're a pass first team.
The only thing I would say
Tom's
is
so efficient at it that if he doesn't throw it 60 times, it's because he already knifed you for 400 yards off 25.
The only thing I would say,
that's the thing, though, is he doesn't have to hit you 60 times.
Well, it's because he's efficient.
It's about winning the game more than it is him getting his yards because he's already great. Look at all of his Super Bowl performances. He's not hitting you for fucking 60 throws.
It's just efficiency.
He's getting you because the efficiency's there. That's what Dallas has the illusion of. Dak Prescott comes out. He doesn't turn over the ball. He scores touchdowns. But when you throw the ball 60 times a game, you're not controlling the clock.
How many times do you think Tom threw the ball over the weekend?
That's the biggest problem with Dallas, is that they're out there thinking that because they have the receivers, because they have the quarterback, that's what they have to do.
How many times do you think Tom threw the ball over the weekend?
Probably 30, 40 times.
Yeah, he threw it almost 40 times.
Yeah, but that's not 60.
Still.
The only thing
Jalen Hurts threw it 43.
How many times did Dak throw over 60 times this year? Do you know that?
I don't think he
threw
it over 60 times many times.
But I know that he has
an argument
over 60 times.
Is that when the Cowboys lost and when they had issues, they were every media, every person was saying, anyone who knows sports was like, why didn't they run the ball more? Because they have such a dominant run game, and they still think they have to throw.
Listen, everyone's throwing the ball like 40 or plus times. Pat Mahomes
I know, but like they have
40 times.
It's not 60 times. You're not controlling the clock. Watch, dude, I'm telling you, the best example of this.
40 times
Go
is still
back.
a lot. What are you talking about?
Go back and watch. Dude, 20 plays? Come on. 20 plays. Realistically, that's 20 plays, dude.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones doesn't get the chance to throw the ball fucking 20 times a game. Jesus Christ.
Well, it's because they know better.
So here's the thing. When you look at it, they are not controlling the game. Dallas did that when they first got Zeke and Dak. That's when Zeke was an 1,800-yard rusher. Dallas was beating very good football team out of fucking nowhere because they were pounding the rock and chewing clock off everything.
They weren't
When
beating
you go
them.
back
They had
to
one
honest,
playoff win.
they
They
didn't,
didn't
the
beat
defense
anybody.
could
They had
not.
one
The
playoff
defense
win.
was giving up points too.
Yeah.
You got to be honest.
The defense was giving up points, but if the defense played like they
You
did
had
this
to.
year,
You had to.
in the middle,
Yeah, you had to.
if
You
you
had
run
to.
the ball, it's a different story. Dallas needs to run the ball 25, 30
So
times
what
a
do you
game.
say?
They have the line.
What do you
running
say for?
backs to
What
do
do you
it.
say for the teams that successfully just pass the ball on everyone primarily?
Oh,
That
stop talking about passing the ball when you're talking about passing it 30 to 40 times. When you pass the ball 40 or 60 times,
Drew Brees did it. Drew Brees did
the
it.
clock.
Peyton Manning did it. Drew Brees and Peyton did it all the time, and they knifed everyone up.
They never won Super Bowl. They only won one. They won one apiece.
Peyton won 2.
The best teams could run the ball. Look at the Patriots when they had nobody.
Yeah,
they had Rex.
you can run the ball, but you still got to be able to pass it. That's why the Eagles. That's why the Eagles didn't beat the Bucs. They couldn't pass football.
Yes, because you have
didn't beat the Bills. Couldn't pass the football.
Yeah, Patriots couldn't beat the Bills because they fucking can't pass football down the
When
field.
it's
You
time
can't pass
to
football.
pass the ball. When it is time to pass the ball, yes, you have to have a good quarterback, a good line, receivers. You got to be able to do that. Dak can. They can totally do that. But they also have to know when they're fucking up by 14, don't let that asshole go out there and stop the play clock by throwing stupid throws. Run the fucking ball.
Situational. You got to know when to run the football situationally.
They're losing too many games because they can't run the clock because their coach is morbidly obese.
You still
And he doesn't
remember.
understand
You got to be able to get
around
leads.
him.
You still remember. You got to be able to get leads on dudes to use that strategy too.
Okay,
it was
the
penalties and undisciplined football.
Yeah.
That's what ended up losing the game.
They
just have
lost
a lot
the
of guys that are
because
undisciplined.
the whole season, you guys are not talking about how Dallas was losing football games because they didn't run the ball.
Well, they went 12 and 5.
They won enough
games they
to
didn't
win
lose a
the
lot of games.
division to get into the playoffs.
They
won
still
the
went
division.
12 and 5. Like you act like they lost half
Yeah.
their games. And I know they didn't need to pay anybody, but they still went 12 and 5. It's still winning. It's still winning football games, dude. Like
That's the problem, dude. I'm letting you know. It's the problem in Dallas. If they don't run the ball 25, 30 times, they're going to lose the game.
Yeah, well,
it's just the way.
Watch what happens to your boy
They're
King
going to
Henry
lose
when
the game.
Jermaine Pratt stuffs his ass this weekend. Yeah, you watch. You watch.
Next year, when Dallas tries to come out with some other shit, they're going to get some random sexy player, some dude posing nude, his ass. He's playing split-time quarterback with Dak or whatever the fuck they're going to do besides drafting a defensive back like they're supposed to. You're going to see what happens.
You could run. No, I agree with you about the value of running the football, but I think you don't give enough.
No, stop. Listen, I want you to understand this. You don't understand what I'm saying right now. It's not about being able to run the ball. It's about just running the ball. Even if you're only
I couldn't hear you.
to the line, you're chewing the fucking clock. You're taking 40 plus seconds off the clock. That's what Dallas does not do. It's not about it's about time off the clock so the other team does not have time to score. Dallas would have beat the Bucs week 1.
So that's your strategy. That's your strategy at all times. That's the most effective way to play.
No,
but you talk like it is, though. You talk like it is. And guess what? That's only effective if you play defense and if you get leads on dudes. Have fun eating up the clock all the time and Pat Mahomes scores 5 touchdowns in 12 minutes. I'm saying you got to be able to pass the ball, too. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yes, in that situation, you have to pass the ball.
The teams that couldn't throw the ball this weekend, almost all of them lost.
Not throw a touchdown Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady can't throw touchdowns when they're on the fucking bench because you're running the ball.
It took him 12 minutes. 12 minutes to throw 5 touchdowns against a good defense. What do you say about that? You can go like this and act like you're a housewife all you want, but...
How about this? Hey, do you agree? Do you think your quarterback should be throwing 60?
I don't give a damn who agrees. I'm not saying the quarterback has to throw the ball 60 times. You could still throw the ball and gash teams, and guess what? In a close game, you got to be able to throw
the ball 40 times. Dak should be throwing the ball 40 times a game.
Dak didn't play good at all. It wouldn't matter if he threw it 20 or threw it 60.
But you don't understand that if you are controlling the game clock,
they weren't running the ball against that team. They weren't running the ball.
Okay, hold on. All right, hold on.
Oh, there's no rest. There's no explaining it.
Just like the Eagles. The Eagles were dead in the water because they're playing the best front seven in football.
It's the same thing. It's a philosophy. That's what it's about. It's a play style philosophy. That's what playoff football is. That's why it's not ever fucking 60 to fucking 10 in the playoffs. It's because both teams know that they have to run the ball and they have to hold possession of the ball.
No, the Bills won by almost 50.
Yeah, the Bills won by almost 50 versus a team with 2 players. Congratulations.
No, against one of the best rushing attacks and best defenses in the league.
They got their ass fucking handed to them by 1 player. Tyreek Hill cooked their defense like it was fucking stir fry with the Migos. Yeah. So I don't want to hear about what the Bills did this season.
Get out there and run that clock down when Patrick Mahomes could score on you fucking 800 touchdowns in 12 minutes.
But that's what I'm saying right now. Go back, watch when Tom Brady and the Patriots in his final seasons beat the Chiefs when Pat Mahomes was going off because they ran the fucking ball and they kept Pat Mahomes off the field. Tom Brady was all of the quarterback in the world that anybody could ever want, but all they had to do was keep him off the field, run long ass drives.
So you think that against Patrick Mahomes and that team that's sustainable? How many times out of 10? I know it's only 1 game.
It is what you should strive to do. If they become elite and they start whipping the ball around, yes, it becomes a shootout. That's not rocket science. But Dak and the Cowboys have that strikeability when they're healthy. They can hit you for fucking 25 and a quarter, not a problem. They totally can do that. But when they're up by 10, shut your mouth, put Zeke in the game, put 8 in the fucking box, and stop me from moving
But you
forward.
just answered my question. You just said what I was saying. You freak out. You said,
Dude, they had the lead against the Bucs.
You said when you're up by 10. Dallas was never up by 10.
Yep.
Dallas definitely had the lead versus the Bucs week 1.
I'm not talking about that game. I'm talking about this game.
No, we're not talking about this game because there's fucking 18 weeks of proof of how Dallas didn't run the ball.
Yeah, well, they had almost 2 1,000-yard rushers. The fuck are you talking about? Zeke had 1,000.
They didn't run the ball.
Zeke had 1,000 yards.
Not for the yards, not for the touchdowns, not for the points. To chew the clock, to have 60 minutes. It's a 60-minute game plan.
It's always
how come you guys didn't have so much success this year?
Because we can't run the ball forward. That's why. That's simple. Dallas has the fucking tools to do everything that they need to do.
Yeah. I guess what honestly the real thing is knowing what to do against what team you're playing against, when to do it. I find myself watching Dallas all the time, running it when they shouldn't and passing it when they shouldn't. I see that all the time. Like in games where they clearly should run the ball, they're slinging it. And then in games where they clearly should throw the ball, they're running it too much, getting stuffed. I just don't think it's well thought out. That's what I think.
I don't think you have to run the checkup on team. You don't have to. If you're consistently dropping 30-something points a game and you have great defense, good for your quarterback, man. All day long. That's fine. But if you're a team like Dallas who struggles on defense, you have to run the ball to keep that defense off the field. That's what that's about. And if you can't do that, you lose football games.
Also, too.
And when you play good football,
I think sometimes we don't think about how the pass game has evolved. So much of Kyle Shanahan's offense and other offenses now are still, even though they're physically throwing the ball, they're still rushing the ball. Like a lot of teams are throwing the ball into the flat now, getting dudes one-on-one with guys. They're still essentially running the football.
That's another thing, too, that Dallas could do more of. You have a dude like CeeDee Lamb. Yeah. If you hit a check down and he's moving and he stays in bounds, the clock chews.
Yeah,
That's completely fine.
I told
It's about
Keegan that the biggest mistake that Dallas does is not knowing when to get the ball into their playmakers' hands, like near the perimeter or short, like giving the ball to CeeDee Lamb, giving the ball to Dalton Schultz, and let like those dudes work. The games they lose, those dudes are so involved so little. Same with Pollard. Get Pollard out on the fucking edges and let him run and do his scat. It's like, I don't understand. They're not creative when they run the football. That's the thing that irks me, is they're just not creative rushing. They try to run the
they haven't had to be creative because they've had a good offensive line. This year, that offensive line has admittedly gone downhill. They did not play very well. But that's also because they're used to Zeke getting 5 yards before he's even touched.
Do you have anything you wanted to add, Keegan, to any of this?
Well, I was just gonna say, so Zeke, it came out after the game, and I don't know when he got injured, but apparently he had like a torn PCL or like something was wrong with something in his knee this year, and I don't know how long.
The last second half of the season. I said that.
You could tell that there was a difference, and he had a couple games where you saw like a burst of the old Zeke. I think that 25-yard rush against the Eagles. I mean, it looked like how he looked in his first year, just the way that he hit that hole and then cut up the field. He just looked different than he did throughout the rest of the year. Pollard, I think he had a plantar fascia or something. I don't know what is. I think it's on the bottom of his foot or something. Yeah. So, and that's why he didn't go to the Eagles last week. So I don't know what was wrong with it. He had 6 touches this game, which I think is just, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, that type of speed, you got to get him out there with the ball in his hands.
And obviously Zeke is hurt. I don't know why I don't know what the deal was. But I don't know why, if Zeke's hurt, they're not giving Pollard the ball more. I think Zeke had 13 touches for 31 yards and Pollard had 6 for 27 or something like that. I don't know. But
do they keep McCarthy?
No.
I don't want them to. I think.
I mean, they had a 12-5 record. They might keep him just off that.
No.
I think, and I saw something today that they said all the players in the locker room or in the press conference were saying they wanted Dan Quinn to stay. And I think that's going to be really the deciding factor, is if Dan Quinn goes to Jerry Jones and says, hey, I think I'm gonna take the coaching job in Denver. I think he's interviewing for tomorrow or something. I think if they want to have success, I think Dan Quinn needs to be a part of the team some way or another. So if he stays on as DC and they keep McCarthy and let him call plays and Kellen Moore goes, I don't know. But if you look at what Dan Quinn did, I think
they're a couple pieces away. Denver's got some firepower over there.
They just need a quarterback, I think.
Well, that's the thing, though,
like
is that
2 pieces on defense. But
I think if we get a different quarterback, though, it's going to switch up if that offensive line can actually play. Because Teddy Bridgewater does a lot of moving around that he doesn't get a lot of credit for that Broncos team. And, Drew Lock has had his games, but the games where they get pressure, there's nothing any of those quarterbacks going to do. That is a run-blocking line. They do not seal the edge very well. I think that overall, if they get a quarterback, different problems arise for that Denver team, unless you pick up a dude like Aaron Rodgers, whatever, where it's going to be easy to start nagging players the way Tom Brady did when he went to the Bucs. It wasn't Tom Brady that went to the Bucs. It was half a fucking NFL roster ended up signing to the Buccaneers. They pick up and patch up all the holes in the offensive line. They get a brand new tight end to add to 2, already solid tight ends. Antonio Brown comes over. There was so many players that ended up going. I think that could happen if you move a player like Rodgers, but if they just draft a quarterback, I think different
Russell
problems
Wilson.
arise. But I think it's a coachable team.
But still, they got to get one in there. If you have problems in the beginning, that's fine. But you still got to get someone in there to develop, unless you're going to go after
Another thing too, though,
veteran.
that he would have to consider. I'm just trying to view in the scope of what Dan Quinn would have to see. Who would really have a better shot at being in the playoffs and all that extra stuff. You probably have a better shot at maybe the Giants fucking getting rickrolled again next year, Philly getting fucking piss pounded due to an injury, and all of a sudden Dallas walks into the playoffs again with no fucking problems, as opposed to the Broncos winning out in their division, which is very tough over there. So, I mean, it's really a toss. You get Aaron Rodgers, that team is super competitive in that division.
Russell
Right
Wilson.
now, I feel like they just have a solid defense but can't keep up offensively.
I got a question for you then. Would you
For me?
Yeah, would you rather keep Daniel Jones or get Russell Wilson?
I think that it all depends on what they're willing to give. I'm very, very adamant about the Giants picking up a right tackle on the free. If it was me, Giants pick up a right tackle on the free agency. We secure our interior with 5 and 7.
You can take
And
Connor
we'll go
Williams.
So then I got a different question, because I want to know what everyone else's
But
room says. Because
if we trade for Russell, is there more pieces that we get?
so that's my question. Because he says that because obviously, if I ask these guys the same question, for example, we were talking about what's his name earlier, Deshaun Watson, right? So if you guys were the GMs of the Giants and you knew that Deshaun Watson legal troubles were over, you're going to get a quarterback that good at 26, would you give your first these 2 draft picks you have up for him?
Yep.
I would.
But here's the thing.
So
Here's the thing.
problem is he doesn't value it as much as us. He's scared to give up the draft capital to get an elite quarterback.
The reason is, though, is
give it
because
up.
the draft picks give us value in other places. If we secure the interior of the offensive line, right? Let's say we do that. All of a sudden, Daniel Jones, Kenny Galladay, and Saquon Barkley become real football players, and they can actually do something. And I'm just saying this because, dude, I went to 2 games live.
That's
you're
just
talking
assuming
about,
2
you're talking about
commodities come in and play well.
They snap the ball, and you've got 3 dudes in your face.
Right, but I'm just saying that's assuming 2 unproven kids come in.
That is correct.
Whereas if you trade for an elite quarterback, you're getting a dude that's going to put wins in your column immediately.
I will say this.
And Watson never risk pressure too.
The Giants organization is not going to risk Deshaun Watson. It's not going to happen. I know John Mara way too well. We don't take on liabilities like that. We've stayed away from all the liabilities over the course of whatever, and if anybody gets in trouble on their team, they are released that week. I'm telling you, the Giants will not take that risk.
I'm not saying
it won't happen.
But
Russell,
if they knew
right?
that he was cleared, most of the teams that have the draft capital to throw, they're probably going to sniff. But what about Russell Wilson though?
Well, with Russell Wilson, I think that you have something there. I think it's a realistic idea, right? Pipe dreams for maybe Aaron Rodgers if he decides to leave, depending on what they end up doing in the playoffs. However, with Russell Wilson, you have mobility, right? Obviously, Deshaun Watson, you have mobility, blah, blah, they're not going to risk that. But with Russell Wilson, you have mobility. However, where do we go again in the draft? Is Saquon available? If we can't move the ball with a top 5 back like Saquon, what are we doing? What are we doing right now? Get the ball into your position.
Top 5 back.
Oh, we're going to act like Saquon Barkley can't play football?
5? No, I didn't say that. I'm asking Anton if he thinks he's a top 5 running back.
Not what's been produced on the field, no.
Well, he's been injured.
Production, no. That's clear. 110%. Production's not there. But I'm telling you, you snap the ball, and they're in his ass. They are in his asshole. Like the one's penetrated, the other dude's in the other dude's ass.
Gotta be able to run.
Exactly. So if we can run block and start moving pieces around, the value for Daniel Jones goes through the roof. Daniel Jones has flashes, but Daniel Jones also, we played the Buccaneers. Tom Brady saw 17% pressure. Daniel Jones saw 48. I've been saying that stat. Nobody acts like that's a big deal. That's
Joe Burrow sees all the pressure, baby, and fucking crushes it, dude. Let's
You
go.
know the
He says, "Fuck that
Daniel
shit."
Jones is. Well, at the end of the day,
Joe
if
Burrow's
we show up
like,
the
hey,
line, right? Look at the jobs though that are at jeopardy because of how bad that line was this year. You had Jason Garrett get fired. You had fucking Joe Judge get fired. The offensive line coach got fired. Defensive line coach left. You have the quarterback that can't play. You've got Saquon and Devontae Booker that can't move the ball. And we paid X amount of money for fucking Kenny Galladay. We drafted a receiver, and nobody can do anything because we can't get the ball more than fucking 10 yards down the field because we don't have the ball.
As much as I love you, we're in the business to talk about teams that won this year. Talk shit about my Bengals and the Raiders. Go for it all, yeah.
I'm going to clear this up in 10 seconds. Everybody else can talk about this. I thought that the Bengals had the biggest trap game of the playoffs. They overcame it. I thought that because the Raiders have all sorts of strikeability and they can hit you in the last 2 minutes. They won 6 games this year. And I think that a lot of credit needs to go to Derek Carr because he managed an extreme amount of games, even with John Gruden, Henry Ruggs. I think that the Raiders were the trap game of the playoffs. You guys overcame it. You move on to the next level. We will see how you guys deal with Derrick Henry. We will see. I'm hoping that it's a great game, and I haven't even decided who I think's going to win yet.
Well, I know who you think's going to win.
No, I don't think that I don't think it's a heavy toss.
The king is back.
Because that team has ran the ball. That Titans team has ran the ball very well without Derrick Henry. Then once they got rid of Adrian,
they drives rushing.
I think it's gonna be very dangerous.
No, they'll probably
for the Titans.
They'll probably roll us over.
I think you might get. I think what's gonna be weird for the Titans is the type of gameplay they had when Henry was in is completely different what they had the last so many weeks that they were winning. Like Henry ran it 25, 30 times a game. They haven't been doing stuff like that. It's a completely different gameplay.
Well, that's what's awesome about it, though, because now if you ask Tannehill to beat you, he can do it. And Julio's there. All the pieces are there to where that team could be very competitive to any team in the play and any team in the league. And they're going to show that. Like, they are going – that is not going to be the Bengals walk in, score 5 touchdowns, and roll out. It's not going to happen.
Listen, people on
but also,
Titans can fuck off. They fucking are in the worst division of football.
Henry's going to rush for 100 yards and a touchdown. If you think you guys are going to contain Henry to anything less than 100 yards, it's not going to happen.
So, it's just yards.
So,
right?
Well, that's the thing, though.
It's just yards, right?
With the quarterback like that, and they're very well coached, he's going to score. Him being out and it's the playoffs now, I don't know.
We're going to score.
You bet I'll fucking screenshot the FanDuel bet.
We're going to score.
I know that. You know?
We're going to score. What's that?
Is A.J. Brown and Julio all back?
I don't give a fuck.
I mean, it'll really matter. That'll really matter.
That's going to matter because if not, you can still stack those boxes and stop Henry and just don't let him go through those running lanes because he's going to run through the center. He's not going to bounce out to the outside as much. I mean,
he can.
If you guys hold,
like that's where half his rushes come from. He just runs past everybody.
If I was the Bengals, I'd just buy 30 tarps. I'd squirt soap and water down, and I would just have my DB sliding all day. Listen, I would say when you see Derrick Henry running at you, hit his feet at this angle, and that's what you got to do.
All I'm saying is we had a top 10 rushing defense this year. Don't act like we can't come in there and hold our own.
Here's the thing: the Bills had the number 1 rush defense in the league, and Jonathan Taylor walked in there and fucking ran up and down that team like it was his job.
So
the rush defense stats go off of how the yardage pans out against your team. It's not really a mark of if you're solid there. And you got to be able to protect the edge with Henry. That's the problem. Once he gets out, they seal the edge. They seal the edge. They force your corner.
What happens if the Bengals get up 14-0? What are the Titans?
You keep running the football.
Realistically,
keep running the football.
Keep the ball out of Joe Burrow's
hands.
Right now, though, is A.J. Brown and Julio available? If they are both available, that's very much a live football game.
Well, they're the favorites.
I thought A.J. Brown was out for the year, though.
Because they're but I mean, I'm pretty sure there's not any crazy significant injuries for the Titans. I been paying attention to them, but I mean, they were kind of a
the
lock
injury
and play.
report should be coming out tomorrow, right? Wednesday when they come out.
I'm interested to find out, can the Titans stop the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase connection? Because it doesn't seem like any of these. Doesn't seem
they could go for it because I got T. Higgins, I got Tyler Boyd, I got TJ Uzama out here catching touchdowns. Let's go.
Here's the thing:
the Raiders backed into the playoffs. They were a 5-2 team that blew up, and you're telling me that this team broke apart because their coach decided to have racist comments, that this team could not hold it together. The problem is,
they broke apart
that they were over.
They
were an overrated team. They backed into the playoffs, and then when they ran against a good team, guess what? They could not stop a receiver.
The Raiders are a
quarterback that diced them apart.
Okay, so
the Raiders are not even the Raiders.
Hold on, I found the injury report.
The Raiders are a lock to split with the Chiefs almost every year.
I found the injury report.
That's the caliber of talent that they play all the time. So to play a team like the Bengals, who it depends on if they get hot or not, that's just where the Raiders sit. That was
the Raiders. The Raiders had to play the Chargers to get into the playoff. And you're saying
that's cool, but the Raiders
this team is no. I'm not saying that's cool. That's fact. What you're saying is that this team is gonna contend with the Chiefs every year at the top of that division, with Justin Herbert in that division, where they had to back themselves into the playoffs.
If the Raiders,
they were a team that started off at 5-2.
If the Raiders don't build quick, they're going to fall to the bottom.
There's a lot of talk from that, but at the end of the day,
it's not talk. It's the record and the truth. What do you mean it's talk? It's the record and the truth.
So
just acknowledge it's the truth.
So
I mean, you're talking about if the team shows up that year. Look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs have struggled all year, but now they're very
well, no. Okay, so he made a statement saying that the Raiders are going to contend with the Chiefs every year going on forward. They backed themselves into the playoffs. I'm just asking, where are you getting that information from? Because they had to play the Chargers to get into the playoffs. I just don't see where they're equal to the Chiefs. I just don't see it.
Definitely not roster-wise. The Raiders overachieved.
The Raiders played very well.
And they started off 5-2. I'm just wondering if they started off 5-2 and then back into the playoffs.
And the loss of one of the fastest receivers in the league, team might have beaten them.
Sounds like Al Davis.
What are we talking about? The
Ruggs wasn't that great. Anyways.
We get 5 dudes, and then we put them out.
The Raiders were the worst team ever.
So
they were the worst. They were a lock to lose that game.
So I have the injury report right now, right?
Yeah.
So it shows Trey Hendrickson was limited in practice. He dinged his head. We have Mike Hilton full practice with an ankle. Sam Hubbard full practice with a rib. So they're all going to play. The Tennessee Titans have Tier Tart, who plays for them, limited practice. Naquan Jones, D-tackle, full practice. And then my boy Buster Screen still holding it down in the NFL. He's full practice. So it looks like everyone that matters is playing. So, and I have DJ Reader back, who started back last week, played well last week, got a full game under his belt. That's going to help us in the run game because he's one of the best.
Does it show injury reserve right there too?
What's that?
Does it show the injury reserve list?
Oh no, this is just who practiced. It doesn't say anything.
Because I thought AJ Brown tore something like a knee thing, or whatever, like one of those tendons.
Hey, give us the status update, dude. What's up?
What do you want the status update on, sir?
What do you think of the Bengals?
Is it going to be Julio and AJ?
All right. I think it's all going to depend on how well Derrick Henry plays. I think.
Well, I mean, I think too. But if they force Tannehill to play, it's ultimately going to matter. Will AJ Brown and Julio both be playing? Are they healthy, and are they playing in that game?
You also have to remember too something that people aren't forgetting.
They didn't play that well.
Falling by the wayside, and then just spitting facts. Falling by the wayside I think everyone is so used to the fact that my team is garbage all the time. People don't really know how good some of my players on defense are playing. I'm talking like I have 5 different guys ranked in the top 15 at their individual. Chidobe Awuzie was ranked the best pass coverage corner in the all AFC this whole entire year. It's not going to be easy for this team to throw the ball.
We're talking about a running back who didn't play since week 8,
right?
Who finished as the 8th leading rusher.
Well,
if he is that, I think it's a different. I don't know. I like the Bengals this year. They look good. I like Burrow. I like what he's doing.
I win their division in that podcast.
Adam's like coming in funky up there as like screens paused or something.
Evan, I told you the Bengals would win their division in that podcast.
Yeah, I didn't believe you. Adam, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but we just can't see your screen like froze or something.
Oh, because I backed out of the.
So keep saying what you're saying, Keegan.
I just think with the Bengals, right? So they used to go where they were going to pound the football with Mixon and P. Ryan and do all that stuff. So what they realized is let Joe Burrow do his thing, get it to the playmaker, and look what's happened, not only leading into the playoffs, but with the playoffs. Stop with the running of the football nonsense. Why don't we set this up with the pass? Obviously, Jamar Chase can dominate his matchup. He's shown that he can do it. Their connection from past and recent seems to be running this team. Look at Joe Burrow. Look at the confidence. Look at the moxie. He comes into the press conference with glasses on. They got swagger. The defense is making enough plays to win these games. Again, I'm sorry to say, but the Raiders were overrated.
Did you ever see the movie Unleashed?
It has nothing to do with the Raiders being overrated that Joe Burrow has moxie.
At the end of the day, you ever see the movie
no, because they went into the game and then they were talking about the Raiders, but also remember, this is Jack Del Rio. Jack Del Rio even said it. He said
both AJ Brown and Julio Jones are both active. So
because I want to beat them. I want to beat them at their best. Their division sucks. That's the only reason why they're the number 1 seed.
But what I'm saying is that people are underestimating this Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase connection. They've been underrating this for so long.
Team.
Jamar Chase is a rookie. Joe Burrow's second year. Listen, you're underrating.
We better see.
You're underrating how they're looking at.
I want to see Jamar Chase for 3 touchdowns. Then come the fucking playoff game, because I'll tell you what, dude.
Well, stop making things that are true. You saw the game. Who dominated the game? Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, right? Jamar Chase dominated his position and dominated the cornerback
in our defense.
Right?
You're talking about the defense. Are you talking about the?
No one's denying. I'm not denying.
And Tennessee corners aren't that good either. So
here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Oh, Janoris Jenkins. Oh, look out.
The Titans will achieve pressure on Burrow. This is not going to be the Raiders' defense.
That's nothing new. That's nothing
new. The Titans are going to achieve pressure. Here's the thing, though.
He's the most hit quarterback.
They have almost safety sitting in the back with Kevin Bayard. If you think he's not going to be watching Jamar Chase like a fucking hawk all night, you're wrong.
Okay,
there's a lot of ways the Bengals can lose this game. The Bengals are
they could say what they want.
Teams that are going to create the problem.
They could say what they want about the pressure on Joe Burrow, but he's the most hit quarterback, the most pressured quarterback, and he still tore the NFL up this year.
I'm just saying, if this is a team that relies on that you like, if they're down in this game,
we'll probably lose. But like everyone acts like we ain't got a fucking shot.
No, it's not about not having a shot. It's about being realistic. And I don't know what this nonsense is about the Raiders being overrated.
Yeah,
when the Raiders were overrated.
I wouldn't say they're overrated. They overachieved for sure. I mean, yeah, Derek Carr.
They started off 5-2, and then they backed into the playoffs. They're probably just an average team.
Yeah, they're like middle of the pack.
Oh, I would put them as some fucking Greek gods, but at the end of the day, they're no scrubs. There's a lot of players on that team probably not even going to be there next year because they're going to just. They've been there for a while. it's not panned out.
The only place that Tennessee has an obscenely unfair advantage over us is my offensive line sucks and theirs does not. And it's going to come down to Joe Burrow. Can he fucking make plays like he has all year against pressure? If he could do that, then we'll be in the game. If he could do what he's been doing to everyone all year, we'll be in the game.
But if your defense,
I'm rooting for the Bengals. I want to see Bengals Bills.
Oh, Anton, right? Trust me. Make no mistake about
if
it.
your
Our
defense
defense can make plays against Ryan Tannehill in this offense.
Again,
will they? I don't know.
We have this idea that it's going to be this constant run game. But again, if Tennessee is down, are you okay with Tannehill? Okay, let's say this: 40 times passing the football. Okay, 40 times passing the football. Are we okay with that? Not 60, 40 times. Tannehill. Okay, I'm just saying.
If Julian and AJ
run, that's
win fucking
Yeah, listen.
I see the first time a wide receiver has bailed out a quarterback in the playoffs, and Tannehill. Right, this is the thing that a lot of people are forgetting. Right, Tom Brady's still in the league, Aaron Rodgers still in the league. That's cool. These younger players that have had the experience, such as Jimmy Garoppolo, Tannehill, these guys are turning into the veteran quarterbacks of the league. They're in that draft class now. They're 10 years deep in careers. They have experience, and Tannehill has experience in the playoffs. Don't get it twisted. Tannehill has experience playing good football teams all the fucking time. So don't sleep on Tannehill, especially if AJ Brown and Julio Jones.
No one's sleeping on Tannehill. I'm just saying my confidence in Tannehill goes down when that run game is not working.
Oh, Burrow is definitely the better quarterback in the situation. But he, like Evan said, he's sitting behind a worse offensive line, and you know the Titans are going to press. The Titans like to hit you quick because they want to run the ball. That's where their strength is.
Yeah,
so they're going to blitz early. That's going to happen, and they're going to try to get to Burrow's head very fucking quickly. It could turn out to be a mistake, but it could also be the deciding factor to put them up by 10, and they start pounding the fucking rock with Henry and Deontay Foreman. The way that
they start doing stuff like that, you can just do screens to Mixon and just say fuck them.
Yeah, and that's why I said everyone loves Derrick Henry, but when you look at the disparities at different positions, the gap between my running back and their running back is not as big as their offensive line and my offensive line, which is why I said that. Like, my offensive line is fucking putrid.
It's true, but I mean, like, just because I like fucking rock music doesn't mean I can't eat cheese. The same thing applies, right? It's a completely random comparison. There's so many things that are going to affect how a player can perform, and that's one of those things. If he's got the dominant offensive line, he's a bigger back, and what I'm telling you, like I said, they're going to seal the edge off, and they're going to force your secondary and outside backer to make that tackle on Henry while he's at top speed. That's where the Titans get you every fucking time, and that's the problem. The Chiefs have been able to stifle that sometimes, and sometimes it just doesn't work. That's where it fucking pans out.
The Chiefs.
But I mean,
who the fuck are those guys? We smacked them a couple weeks ago.
Oh, you did, but now it's the playoffs. You want to count Pat Mahomes and that team on the playoffs? Good for you. After the Chiefs fucking dialed it up and beat that Texans team after they were down by all that, I'm not counting them out either.
Yeah,
and all that.
It's wild when he could score fucking 5 touchdowns in 12 minutes.
It's fantastic when you have a great quarterback. That's really cool.
Kenny Pickett's fucking fake slide is like the greatest play ever.
It's one of those things. But the end of the day, dude, the Bengals are a heavy underdog in the game, and it's.
What are the odds on that? Let's see how heavy they are.
I would just say
they can't be heavy. They're probably the biggest spread is a 5.5 right now. They're probably spreading
at 3.5.
Mm-hmm. I would say
Tennessee
it's not
at 3.5.
Right?
Yeah, 3.5 would be max. I think they'd do that, and that means if it was,
it might move maybe a point.
It'd probably be like
Tennessee
you want to know why? Because the money's going to start coming in on the Bengals, boys. Let's go.
Yep.
Let's fucking spin it. Yeah, I got 3.5.
3.5, so maybe it moves to 5.
If the Bengals can basically commit to stopping the pass and only allowing Derrick Henry to be that guy, the best he can do is 21 points. If the Bengals commit to just basically outgunning the fucking Titans, that might be your best bet. That literally might be your best bet. Nickel and dime that team and force them to run the ball. That might be your best way to do it. They're going to take gouges out of you, but if you're a surefire scorer every time, that might be the best way to eat them. You could starve them off. But I mean,
I say if we flip the coin toss, we've been deferring to everyone because I think everyone acts like our defense sucks, and we've been deferring to everyone and then shellacking them and let them have the ball first. I say this time we don't defer. We get the ball and we score on them. It'll force them to have to throw the ball more. So all it's going to take is one stop.
I would always prefer to kick the ball just because you get the ball at halftime. It wouldn't matter how I feel about the defense. I'd always want the ball at halftime.
What? Matt Hasselbeck?
We want the ball. We're going to score.
But I mean, realistically, that's because there have been went off where they didn't win the game even though he popped off. And that's what you guys could do is you could starve off the Titans by scoring early and forcing them to run the ball, but tackling them fucking every fucking 5 yards.
I know they got Byard and shit, but if Joey does his thing, I'm not scared of those fucking corners. It's gonna be fucking Christmas early, dude.
I say Bengals get out.
It's gonna be like their personnel, their corner personnel.
Put it on
dude,
these Titans. It'll be a wrap.
I'm 3 deep
by halftime.
I'm 3 deep at wide receiver. Who the fuck are their corners? Can you even name them?
Shit, no, I couldn't even tell you. I just know the Byard's there, and they're going to get pressure. That's all.
I'm pretty sure they're.
That's why everyone got pressure on Joe all year, and he fucking sliced and diced.
I mean, if I was,
dude, you have no idea how much of a heart attack that dude has given me all year. Like, cause he just drops back and there's no pass protection, and he's just like spitting out of shit, running around, throwing the pill, and I'm like, this dude's gonna get himself fucking killed, but he's a gamer. He ain't got a choice if they get blocked. Did you see the game where he was like, he knew exactly what the team was gonna do? This like crisscross, like X blitz, and he throws a touchdown to Tyler Boyd in the middle linebacker standing next to him, and he goes, "You think you can X me?" Punk to him and all this stuff. "You think you can X me?" I was like, he's like, "Come on," and all this stuff to the dude. I was like, yikes. Yeah, bust them cigars, baby. Smoke them if you got. We'll probably lose, but whatever.
What I think is how many players the Pistons are going to have to send.
I just want to fight. I want them to
No, Evan, you guys got to win. You guys got to win. Once the Bills select the Chiefs over there, then we could beat you guys. And
I think so.
That's going to be fucking.
That game's going to be a rematch of the AFC Championship.
I mean, if you look at it, they're only giving them 2.5 points at Kansas City.
Dude, listen, Josh Allen plays the way he played.
And it's because of Josh Allen. It's Josh Allen throwing the pill. That's why it's a 2-point game.
Dude, Josh Allen plays the way he played last week.
He's playing good.
Come on now.
If our defense plays the way they played last week.
The world's greatest safety over there with the honey badger getting cooked left and fucking right.
So he's better than Hyde and Poyer and all them?
No, he played really well last week, though. Yeah.
That's terrible.
Adam,
honey badger
Adam says he can run him over.
Trash. I wouldn't let him be the one.
The honey badger's about to get stiff armed by Josh Allen. I hope they can go another 5 yards.
Dude, the honey badger's dirty.
Hey, so you got a heavy cheerleader over there. They could do some damage on time. Good cheeks.
Well, yeah, let's see. I'm interested to see if my linebackers show up the way they showed up last week. Like, we played a really good running game last week, held them to 100 yards. My linebackers are underrated. Fucking, I hope they show up to tackle. God damn it.
I mean, like I said, I think it'll ultimately boil down how many players do the Titans have to rush to get pressure. If a 4-man front isn't doing it and they have to start rushing more than that, you guys could definitely get tricky on that team.
Yeah, which means Joe's also the best against the blitz. Let's go.
My assessment is if the Bengals can withstand whatever rush or whatever pressure they're gonna put on them, if you allow Joey Burrow to get that arm live, it will be a wrap early
We need 2
and
stops.
often in that game
We need
because the Titans
2.
cannot play that comeback. We're going
We
to
need
sling the ball around game. I just don't trust Tannehill. I don't trust that.
we need 2 early
Let's
stops,
stop it.
boys. That's all it's gonna take. 2 early stops, and that shit's a fucking wrap. You ever
Because all of a sudden,
you ever see the movie on what is it? Unleashed? Adam knows that movie.
With fucking Jet Li.
Yeah, so like I liken what's going on my team right now to Unleashed. Like 4 weeks ago, somewhere along the line, my team was like Peter pattering back and forth between they play, and all of a sudden, Zach Taylor turned into Bob Haskins, R.I.P. the big homie, and just fucking ripped the leash off Joe Burrow. Was like throw the fucking pill all over the place, like Jet Li threw them fucking fists all over the place and fucking kill motherfuckers and Unleash. Keep the fucking
Show me the
leash.
Bengals.
Keep the leash off.
I thought
Keep the leash off him.
I think he realized
And
that
sprinkle Joe Mixon in there.
Yeah, trying to run it, try to have Joe Mixon lead
And
the
Mixon's
team and
not a
running
big
the
game
football.
hitter anyways. He gets you
It just
3, 4, 5 clip, doesn't turn the ball over.
he was trying to run it through Mixon and realize that
32
Mixon
carries a
plays
game.
better. Yeah, he plays better when you can spread him out, get him catching the football, moving him around, running the football. But you have to have plays in the pass game. Once Jamar Chase came over, you got Boyd. Now you got weapons across
T.
the
Higgins.
board. He was like, offensive line is not so great. We got to find another way to open some of this Joe Mixon up but he was like, let's use the pass game. And then Joey Burrow is game to throw the football with pressure or not in his face. So I think the idea to lead with pass to the run game ended up being a better decision overall.
If we can beat the Titans, that'll be enough for me, man. That's happy season for me. I mean, I'm already happy we won a playoff game,
but we're gonna find out about this game within the first quarter what the Bengals do. I think they're gonna try to pass the football. If they can't get it done, then it's gonna be a long game for the Bengals. But they should be able to, if they can get something done in the pass game early on. I think the Titans playing from behind work.
All right, so real quick, let me find. Okay, so real quick, we all talked about it. Whatever. Now we'll do some quick picks. Adam, I'll run through and have you say who you think's gonna win. Just you don't have to explain it. This is the last thing we're gonna do before we hop off because I gotta go. I gotta work in the morning. But I'm gonna run through each team, and I'll take turns going around what you think's gonna win. So Buffalo at Kansas City, starting with Adam. Just say who you think's gonna win.
Buffalo's home in that game, right?
No, at Kansas City.
Yeah, no,
short and sweet.
Yeah, Chiefs.
Chiefs. Chad.
I got the Bills. They beat him at home. They beat him at home earlier in the year, and their defense is way better than last year. And the Kansas City defense, it doesn't hold a flame to the Bills' defense. I think that's going to be the biggest key factor.
Anton.
Bills' defense is better. Josh Allen actually has been playing better than Mahomes. I'm actually going to take Buffalo.
Ooh, smooth
by
Buffalo. 5. Keegan.
You're not taking into account what's on the Chiefs side.
Dude, look at that
is
beard.
the stadium.
Gnarly. Let's go, dude.
And the fans are going to make the difference there, so I think Chiefs win that one.
Okay. I don't know. This one's actually the hardest game for me to pick. I'll take the Bills. That Josh Allen.
Let's go.
That Josh Allen shit, if he plays the best of his ability, whether he's running fucking half the linebackers of the league over, throwing darts 6 yards down the field, that arm carries. Great coaching. One of the best defenses in the league. I'm taking the fucking Bills. All right, Los Angeles versus Tampa Bay. Adam?
Taking the Rams.
Taking the Rams. Chad?
Unfortunately, Tampa Bay.
Oh, okay.
I just think they've been playing disgusting without their best wide receiver. That well, Evans is a good wide receiver, but they lost a good Godwin and everything else. I feel like they're playing with fire right now, and they're just running hot.
You
I
the
think
buck stops
their
there,
defense
huh?
is running good, but I don't know. They
Tom?
could stop.
I like how Evans has been playing of late, especially even in the last game. I think these defenses are pretty good across the board. I think this is just where Stafford fumbles up. This is where you get the Stafford fumble up game. I'm taking Tampa.
I like the Rams. Keegan?
I think Tampa. I don't like it. I don't like Tom Brady.
I don't like it.
I don't like all these Tampa fans that I see around Florida, where I didn't see him when fucking Jameis was hucking the rock.
You tell them to come over to
They
Pensacola. Square up with them, all right?
They come out of nowhere. I don't like it, but I think Tampa wins the game.
All right, San Francisco and Green Bay. Adam. Say it again.
I got San Fran.
He's got San Fran. I can't deal. Chad.
Packers.
Yeah.
He's-
I actually got San Fran. I gotta go with Adam on this. I think this is where Green Bay again fumbles it up. I go with San Fran.
I got Green
Bay. I told Haig very early this year 2 things. Dallas would be out before the second round. And the Packers would be out the game before the Super Bowl. I think that they drew a shitty matchup here with the Niners. That's how I feel. But even if they don't,
Look at
Packers.
Keegan's like twirling his pen like a Harvard professor about to fail everyone in the class. What do you got?
Oh, that Packers team could totally go on.
MVP of the league, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I understand what you guys are saying. I think the matchup is favorable, but Aaron's got the juice.
It'll be in Lambeau too, so it's gonna be.
I do like his. I do
It's
like
gonna be
the
cold
dunks
as
that
shit,
he
boys.
throws.
It's gonna be like-
love them
they
I
dunks.
think he said
covered
2 degrees is a low.
It's going to be 13 at game time is what ESPN says. Packers.
And then,
Those LA boys don't know what cold is.
oh,
No.
Bengals, Tennessee. Adam,
I got Tennessee.
Chad,
Bengals. I'm gonna say a field goal to win it. Right at the end. Right towards the end.
Tom,
Bengals by 15.
Oh,
15.
15. I think they're gonna roll them.
Keegan.
You putting that in your spread?
I've been talking about it.
I'm glad someone else is confident.
15.
This dude is
Tom,
make it
all
16,
up in the right-hand corner. Keegan.
15.
I think Bengals win this by a touchdown.
I say it's gonna be a draw. Can you draw in the playoffs?
No, you can't.
No, you can't.
I like our chances. I will just say that I think it'll probably be close. I wouldn't be surprised either way. But for all the people that think that just because we've sucked forever doesn't mean that this team can't beat anybody we line up against. Imagine when we get an offensive line. Imagine if we get an offensive line. It's fucking over.
Just wait when Joey Burrow puts on them shades.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
After that game. Yo, I've been telling y'all, I'm here. Joey
Tell me
Burrow.
the Bengals trading for Justin Jefferson just to complete the squad over there.
Yeah, that would be fair.
Don't embarrass us all. We'll let the Giants have Kirk. We'll let the Giants have Kirk Cousins.
You guys traded Diggs away for a fucking Chuck.
We'll take Glennon off you.
Oh, who, the neck?
Yeah,
The neck?
That's better than somebody throw the ball when you got 25.
Well, hey.
we'll take Glennon off you.
Keegan, I'm happy that you made it on the podcast. Good to see your fucking face.
Thanks for having me.
But let me know when you're free because we're going to be doing more of these. We'll probably do one after this weekend too or whatnot if we can get everyone together on the same page. The reason why Darren's like, we're not going to do it at your place. The reason why I kind of am going to start going to this Discord is because it's wicked easy for us to just pull ourselves up on our phone and see each other. Sure, I'm still going to probably have episodes in the future where like we sit in the room, but it's nice to be able to see Keegan across the country, Adam a couple towns over. You know, I could see you guys, and this is the first time we've had video ever in my podcast. This is like the 41st or 42nd episode or some shit. I can't believe this. I got to get on the ball with this shit too, because I've been wanting to do better at making episodes and growing this shit. I've only put 41 episodes out in 4 years. I started this shit in 2018. Time flies. So, but yeah, listen, this Discord's open. What I will do from now on is if I only plan on talking to someone specific, I'll just like tell you guys not to hop in it or whatever. But when I do these like sports ones, it's a fucking free for all. You guys could literally, if you see it up, it's through Discord. You don't have to do anything on your end. If you guys want to jump in, just ask me what I'm talking about. If I'm talking sports, all you have to do is pull this Discord link up, and you don't have to do anything. You're just in. It's so effortless, and then I can see all you guys. It's more aesthetically pleasing to at least be able to see you guys on camera than to not see you guys at all. You know. So.
And hey, just to put this out there, after this weekend, maybe the next time we do a podcast, we could be talking about what seats we're gonna be sitting in for the Bills Bengals game.
Yeah, I know. The only problem with that is it's gonna be on a Sunday. And like
6:30.
I'd have to work.
6:30.
I'd have to work the next day, but we could just fucking do it and drive home.
It starts at 6:30, not 8:30 this time.
We'll talk about it more. I mean, I'm definitely gonna win. I don't know if you're gonna win, but I mean, fucking you're gonna Bronco bust Derrick Henry's fucking ass.
That'll be a good game overall, but
and so it's getting late. I was gonna do like an off-season thing, but maybe we could condense that at a later date if you guys want to talk off-season as a whole instead of like
I think it's a little early.
I was gonna break it up, but no, I mean we were just gonna do like early, like the teams that are out. You know, start looking ahead. Darrin and I did a mock draft. I'm probably going to do a few more mock drafts leading up to it and post it and stuff, but it'd be fun if we can get everyone on and do a multi-man mock draft and just blow a mock up. Like, let everyone pick, like, take turns, like 6 guys. You take turns going, so, like, whatever you got, you just pick what you think that team should draft. That's what Darrin and I were doing.
Well, mock 1 was blown up within the first 3 picks.
Yeah, because everyone has different opinions on what a team should take. Darrin and I did a mock draft, and Kyle Linderbaum, like, almost slid out of the first round because of our contrast of picks. It was pretty funny. But he's like a blue chip player. But yeah, so Keepin a G-Real podcast. Happy to have you guys on. If you guys got anything you want to drop in the link or anything, if you guys got anything you want to say, like if you're streaming or anything, now's your floor to say your closing things. Drop your fucking links for Twitch or whatever you want. Adam, closing statements?
No, everything's good. I'll be on next time.
All right, Chad?
Just go Bills. That's it.
Tom?
C4, brain fuel. Let's go.
Keegan?
Fire Mike McCarthy.
All right, I love you guys. I'll hit y'all up. This is Keepin